everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of All In, a Nintendo podcast, the weekly Nintendo variety show where each and every week no shell is left unturned and no point is left unearned. We are here live on youtube.com/allinpodcast, as we are every Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, recording the first segments of our show live. Man, there is so much to get into tonight.
Man, yeah.
Like as it seems every week, but shout outs to everybody watching us live. We also have a few shout outs that we like to do here at the beginning of the show every week. Eric, do you know what those are?
I do. You're talking about the patrons, right?
We're talking about the patrons.
Yes.
First of all, we want to welcome a brand new patron to the All In Army, Gamer Jason, who was just on the show a couple weeks ago. Who joined us for the review of the Tetris movie, joined us at the Golden Banana tier. So thank you very much for that, Jason. Thank you for your love and support, my friend. Welcome on in.
Indeed, a Golden Banana human being.
A Golden Banana human being himself. And we, being a Golden Banana tier patron, Eric, as you well know, gets him access to all kinds of exclusive content, like all-in side quests, like the $2 Hero Cast, and like shout-outs here at the beginning of every episode, like we like to do for our Golden Banana and Triforce tier patrons. And speaking of that,
like to do that, Seth. We do.
And
like
speaking
to do
of that, we need to do that right here, right now. Starting our Golden Banana tier patrons like Rob Yapel, Third Strongest Mole, Shano Baggins Ashton, Tim A, aka Neoprime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt Shy Guy City Murray, Phelan Ward, Bill Tucker, Marcus O'Neill, Liam D, Solo Something, and Bowza. Thank you very much to our Golden Banana tier, and now Gamer Jason, yeah, of course. So thank you very much to our Golden Banana tier patrons. But of course, moving on to our Triforce tier.
Hey Seth. Do you think you might call them for this episode Triforce Heroes?
Triforce Heroes for this episode. That'll make sense later. But yes, our Triforce Heroes this week begin with Josh Vaughn, the godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday, John Dat Fast Cummins of the Retro Logic podcast, as well as On Topic Retro, the Globe-Trotting, Jet-Setting Nintendo Hub and Sparky of the Nintendo Hub right here on YouTube, Adam Caparello of Retro Groove, as well as the Octorock 1982 YouTube channel, Shy Guy, the other half of our Shy Guy mod squad, Danielina Hosa, Dan and Luma, and the legend himself,
the man whom Bonnie Tyler was talking about when she sung I Need a Triforce Hero. Uncle Randy.
Uncle Randy, the Triforce Hero. Real quick, because we do have some reviews to shout out too, but real quick, before we do that, I want to point people to, speaking of Shy Guy, the other half of our mod squad, he has a GoFundMe currently live, benefiting his son, who they're trying to raise money for an e-bike for his son. And his son has, kind of like mobility related things. Like he wants to be able to ride a bike with his son in a tandem e-bike. So he put a GoFundMe live this past weekend, and it was very heartwarming to see so many of the All In community members pitch in and donate to that. He's already, I think, if he hasn't surpassed it, he's right up on $3,000 of his $4,000 goal. So he's almost there, but let's get him over the finish line, guys. The GoFundMe is still live. Additional funds will just continue to add support to him and his family and his son. So it was really, really heartwarming to see, and I know he appreciates it a lot. But if you have the room to throw a couple bones his way and support him and his son getting a tandem e-bike, I know he appreciates that. And if not, hey, even if you can just share it, that is greatly appreciated. Just signal boost it. We retweeted it, and we're gonna shout that out as much as we can. We take care of our own here on All In, and
absolutely.
It was really cool. So huge thanks to everybody who supported that already. So definitely wanted to shout that out. I don't want to go on I don't want to embarrass him.
But the reason I was looking down for the past minute or so, I was bringing it up. He is currently at 2,985.
Yeah, so he's right there at 3K, and the goal is 4K. So we should be able to get him there. So
we can do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll have a link in the episode description as well for y'all to easily go and support him. So huge thanks to everybody who did that already. Thank you to future donors He deserves it. He's one of the good ones. He's just a great dude. Has been a huge supporter of ours for a long time. He's one of our mods.
He's one of our
Discord.
mods. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a great guy, and his family deserve the win. So, anyways, definitely support that. But Eric, we do have a couple of reviews to shout out. A couple of new 5-star reviews, which you guys can of course leave on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Audible. You can drop some words over there, or on iTunes. On Spotify, you can leave anonymous 5-star ratings. And indeed, we did get a new anonymous 5-star rating on Spotify this week. So thanks to whoever left that. And we also, Sean Capri is here in the chat saying, "Embarrass away." So yeah, we really we hope everybody supports Shy Guy. And we also got, and I don't know how old this is, Eric, because I just thought to check it for the first time today. I discovered the
Brazilian iTunes?
No, German iTunes.
German iTunes. we have a German fan out there. Nice. Well, we truly are a global endeavor, Seth.
Well, look, I knew that we had
we've interviewed a few German developers.
Hoppel is in Germany.
Yeah.
Delroy is in Germany. Matt Murray is in Germany. So I don't know.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know who it was that left it. I don't know how long it has been there, but this is the first time I've noticed it. So whoever left it, thank you. Nobody told me about it regardless. But anyways, so shout out to everybody who left reviews. Thank you very much. And the last thing I want to flag really quickly, speaking of Sean Capri here in the chat, he's one of my fellow Carpool Gaming teammates, and starting tomorrow as we're live, Saturday as the episode goes live, me and my fellow teammates at Carpool Gaming are throwing a weekend-long event, Carpool Gaming Days, at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming. It's going to be awesome. We're announcing a lot of stuff over there. I've been working really hard on it behind the scenes. The whole team has been working really hard on it behind the scenes. So plug. Check out Carpool Gaming Days this weekend if you want to see or hear more of this guy. Yeah, but with all that out of the way, sir, what's been going on in your world this week?
That German review that was just a 5-star, no words.
No words. Yeah, no words. No German words.
Just das gut.
They didn't say 9, so I'm good with that. They didn't say that. Yeah.
But what's been going on in my week? Well, a lot of wars that have been pretty advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp finally dropped last week. Seth and I are hard at work as part of the Orange Star Army, trying to make our way and defeat actually, that's a bit of a spoiler, so I don't want to say anything. To defeat, whoever is at the end of these games. There's no way of knowing.
It's impossible to know. These games aren't like 15 years old or whatever.
I know. But yeah, Seth and I are both hard at work trying to get through both of those campaigns, so much so that we haven't really had too much time to delve into. Like, I got the Final Fantasy collection remastered, which, the Pixel remasters I haven't really had time to jump into, unfortunately, because I want to give those the proper time they deserve. We'll talk about it, but there's a certain massive DLC update to one of our favorite RPGs on the Switch, which we haven't had time to really delve into. However, there were a couple other games that I did make a little bit of time here and there to jump into. The first of which is a game I've already talked about a little bit here on the show, was Horizon Chase Turbo, that Cruisin' USA, that Outrun style arcade racing game that I've become enamored with over the past couple weeks. I've been playing that here and there and getting quite mad at some of the races. There's two things about that game. They really need to they really need to add a patch to the game to where button remapping is permanent, because I have to remap my buttons literally every time I boot the game up.
Oh wow, that sucks.
Which is kind of annoying.
That's annoying.
Yeah, and so I'm getting to the point where some of the races are just ridiculous. Like it's 20 versus 1 essentially. Like the cars will just straight up line up in front of me to prevent me from passing sometimes. God. And oh man, it's really good. It's exhilarating, which is what you want from a game like that. But there's a non-0% chance that there's an actual conspiracy in that game against me.
I don't remember. I mean, I didn't play nearly as much of it as you did. Like I saw that last year during Extra Life. It happened to be on sale. I bought it. I played it for maybe an hour or two or something, and
Yeah,
messed around with it or whatever. But I didn't play nearly enough of it to experience that kind of stuff. I don't think.
yeah. I really dig it. There's a ton of content in there. Dozens of cars, each with a bunch of different skins, 4 actual campaigns that you can go on, a bunch of different tracks, each with their weird kind of like adorable low poly backgrounds and everything. So I really dig it. Again, it's an arcade racing game. The controls are very simplistic, so I
Yeah.
completely understand those. Completely understand those people that pick it up, play it for an hour, and are done with it forever. Completely understand that. But I'm really, really digging it. I guess I'm just really. I guess I just needed that kind of outlet for that kind of game for a while.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But another game that we talked about the huge indie sale going on in the eShop over this past week, and it's still going on. There's still some ridiculous discounts on some really great indie games, including the one I have on the TV behind me, Skullgirls. And I owned it back on the PS3 when it first dropped. Of course, me being the fighting game guy, and I played it and I really liked it. That was back when Skullgirls only had like 8 characters in it. But they promised to continue to work on the game. And 10 years later, 10, 12 years later, they've kept that promise. The problem is back on the PlayStation 3, I bought Skullgirls thinking that the original Skullgirls release was going to be its own kind of platform, and they would just continue to build on that. But actually what happened is when they created like the first big content update, they dropped that as its own game. There was no way to add on to the original Skullgirls game. You actually had to buy the whole brand new game, which was essentially just a DLC upgrade. And that kind of burned me a little bit, so I didn't buy it, and I haven't played Skullgirls basically since then.
Oh, wow.
Even though I've seen all the characters, even though I've seen all the content, even though it's been a mainstay at EVO since it basically came out all those years ago. But this past weekend, because of the sale, it was 75% off. I was like, you know what? It's been long enough, and I feel like whatever little mistakes they've made back then, they have more than learned from. So I went ahead and I picked up Skullgirls. And of course, because I picked up Skullgirls, I had to pick up the season pass with all the characters on it. So I have been having quite a bit of fun falling in love with Skullgirls over the past week, and learning all the characters that I didn't get an opportunity to play, and relearning all the characters that I did play when the game first came out, because it's been that long. I remember almost nothing about my time with the game originally. I haven't even done any CPU fights. I've honestly spent probably 8 hours, about 8 hours in Skullgirls this past week, just in training mode.
Oh, wow.
Just in training mode.
Dang.
I love a good lab. That's honestly, training mode is one of my favorite things about fighting games. Getting a character and going into the lab and just discovering things that you can do with that character. Honestly, that's a big part of the fun for me. Not even the actual fighting, just discovering what characters are really capable of. Not saying that all I do is training mode, but I really enjoy that aspect of the game. So I've been doing a lot of that, a lot of training mode in Skullgirls, having a ton of fun, waiting on Marie, the actual Skullgirl, to drop as the next DLC character, playing a lot of Horizon Chase Turbo, and of course, getting through Advance Wars for our review next week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Playing a lot of Advance Wars. I'm liking it. It's hard. Like,
it is, man. It's so hard. Cute and approachable, and you get in and you're like, oh, you gonna learn today.
Yeah.
I'm playing on casual difficulty and still genuinely surprised I haven't lost a battle yet. This game, and you told me this game got some teeth to it.
It does. Yeah, I know we'll obviously talk much more about it next week, but
yep.
But man, like, it's hard. Like, to the point where, like, I honestly, it really is like chess. Like, it takes so much like mental power to just get through like a mission. What I've been doing is just playing a mission or two and then stepping away. Like, that's all I got. That's all I got in me, So
I played the first like 5 or 6,
yeah,
but then after that, I've taken the same approach, like 2 or
yeah,
3, and then I step well because the missions themselves, the battles
they can go
themselves,
long.
yeah, they can.
Yeah, I mean, you can spend easily 30 minutes to an hour on a level.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
easily.
it just, I mean, it really just depends on how much you put into it. But man, like, there, it's intense. So, it has been nice that we've had the opportunity to have a lot of games that we got access to this week, and I've played a bunch of like kind of smaller stuff this week. Shout outs to the publisher for providing us a copy of Velocity Noodle, which just came out this past week.
Has
Um,
noodles in it apparently.
does have noodles. So this is a this is a sort of precision platformer, like speed running heavy precision platformer that's all
Hmm.
about like momentum and flow and stuff. Has like a sort of the visual style reminds me of like Katana Zero, just that kind of like neon
Okay.
soaked pixel art sort of thing. And yeah,
Okay.
you're just like you have like a jump, you have a dash, you have a slide, you have a like magical katana for reasons that you can just sort of throw ahead of you. There
I'm down.
are yeah, and they're like little points that you can like throw the katana to and then warp to it. So it's cool, and once you get it kind of moving, once you kind of click with like kind of picking up what the game's putting down, it feels
Hmm.
really good. Like the movement of it feels good. I have a couple of little complaints, and there's a video up on the YouTube channel for all these games I'm going
Yes.
to mention. So definitely check that out if you want to see the game in motion. But an issue that I was bumping into consistently was the obstacles kind of blend in with the background a little too much for me.
Oh, yep, yep, yep,
So
yep, yep.
like it was kind of hard to tell always like what was and wasn't an obstacle. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you would see like signage, like neon signs in the background, and then sometimes they would just be obstacles. And so you didn't know that if you were going to bump into them. And momentum is everything in this game. So like if you bump into something, your momentum's just dead, and you just need to restart. And another thing is your slide is triggered by momentum. So I can hit the button to activate a slide whenever I want, but if I'm not moving with enough forward momentum, the slide doesn't do anything.
You're basically
So
just lying on the ground.
you're not even that. It just doesn't do it. Like you just don't even slide at all.
Okay.
So like you have to
I'm
be
getting like a
going
very Mirror's Edge vibe from everything you're talking
kinda
about.
a little bit. Yeah, it's sort of like I mean like it feels really like the movement feels snappy. It feels like as good as something like a Celeste. Like it feels really good. The
Really?
movement of
Okay.
it does. Yeah.
Okay.
But when you have these little tiny things, like I said this in the video. I said it to the developer who was very nice, and they welcomed the feedback and they were very nice. So big shout outs to the developer.
Yes.
They were like, we're going to continue to tweak and improve it, because I really do think that this game is just a few tweaks away from being something really great. This is totally the kind of game that you would see at like a GDQ and say like, oh, what is this? You know.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Like I like a lot of it. It's right there. Like it's
Yeah.
right there. Couple of little tweaks. Let me slide whenever I want, regardless of momentum, because it just feels so bad. Like when you hit something and just cannot slide anymore, that feels so bad. It like totally kills your run. You just need to restart. So like let me slide whenever I want. Regardless, like if it worked the way you were saying, where like I could slide but just slowly if I didn't have enough momentum, that would feel better than just hard stop, like you just hit a brick wall, you know. So I wish there was that, and like even just like a highlight over the obstacles, like just something so that it stands out more against the background. And I think you have something really special here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, a
cool
lot. I
game.
mean, the vast majority of games that have distinct foreground and background elements, typically they just use more muted colors on the background elements, and they use much more like a brighter color palette on the foreground. They're highlighted by way of color use, essentially.
Right. I mean, they have like, so what they try to do is the foreground will be kind of static and the background will kind of move with your camera position, which
Hmm.
is fine on levels where there's vertical movement. But if you're in a level that is primarily horizontal movement, the background isn't moving much. So
Hmm.
like it doesn't always stand out that much. It's little tiny stuff. Like my complaints with this game are very minor, but like in a game like this where it's all about the movement, like
Hmm.
tiny little things can be the difference between a good game and a great game, you know?
Yeah, especially when you're talking about flow games that
Hmm.
really thrive on the flow and the contiguous movement.
Yeah.
Games like Mirror's Edge, games like Lunistis.
Yep. Yep. Totally. So it's little stuff like that. I still really like it.
Nice.
It's pretty short too. Like initially, it's very much reliant on like the notion that you're going to go back for. There's hidden chopsticks in every level, which is funny. There's like time trials and stuff. It's like a score
Of course.
chaser kind of thing. If you're just blitzing through the game, you'll get through it in like less than 3 hours. But if you are the kind of person that likes to score chase and get the better times and stuff, then
Of
this
course,
will
yeah.
be up your alley. So
I dig it.
yeah, so that's Velocity Noodle. The next one I want to shout out again. Big thanks to the publisher for providing us access to this. Is Manga Vania, which came out this week.
I was trying to figure out how to pronounce it.
Yeah, it is a sort of like Downwell style pixel art retro platformer that has 3 colors. It's got like the black, white, and red, just like Downwell. That sort of tricolor aesthetic, but you play as this like emo ninja guy who like I don't really know how else to describe him. And
That is forever his name as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, I think the character does have a name, but there's like it just kind of drops you into it with very little story. It's a very like no nonsense kind of thing. It's got 20 stages. They're well designed, fun stages, and it's called Manga Vania because each stage is like a little mini Metroidvania section or something. Like it's not a go left to right combat platformer. It is a explore this little space combat platformer.
So it's a bunch of small non-linear environments.
Yeah, a bunch of small nonlinear environments. You go in there. There is a spirit to find on every stage that'll talk to you and give you a little bit of what little like lore there is. And then there
Chopsticks, spirits. I love video games.
yeah, and then there are these kind of like little Navi fairies floating around, and usually you need to like take out 3 of them to unlock a door that'll then like finish the level. And you're graded on your time and stuff too, so you're definitely incentivized to go through as fast as possible. The faster you go, the more gems you get, and the gems can be used for 30 gems. You can get one of like 4 or 5 power ups, like a double jump, a dash, things like that.
Nice.
And so it's cool. And the big thing about this is it's $5. So it's a very kind of like short and sweet platforming experience. The platforming feels good. The enemy design is like totally fine. There's a couple boss fights in the game that are actually pretty rad. They're pretty
nice.
cool boss fights. And yeah, I mean you'll get through it in an hour, hour and a half maybe. And it's just a fun little way to like kill an afternoon for $5. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. So that was cool. Again, huge thanks to the publisher for that. But the big one for me this week was Mr. Sun's Hatbox. Eric.
Yeah. So you and I were talking about this game a little bit, and to be completely honest with you, I don't remember exactly how you pitched it to me, because when you said it, like my brain kind of snapped in half.
Yeah.
So for the folks, what games did you compare this to again?
It's got elements of a lot of different stuff. Okay. And I love this game. You can
You said it's like Fallout Shelter meets Spelunky meets Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, it's got.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around.
It
trying
has
to
so
figure
many.
out, trying to notionally put this game together in my head. Like these, what?
It's so cool. This game will get a full indie showcase at some point soon. I love it. Okay, so let me a little bit of backstory for this. So big thanks to Raw Fury, the publisher, who was awesome working with us on this. I had been kind of trying to connect with them and reach out to them regarding a couple of their games and stuff. And normally they kind of have like forums, and they use like key websites like a lot of publishers do, but typically it's just for PC versions of their games. And so I reached out, I said, hey, like we're a Nintendo based outlet, you know, and I would love to showcase the Nintendo Switch versions of your games. And they were super cool, super gracious, and just like very friendly, and you know, can't say enough good things about Raw Fury, the publisher. And anyways, so they passed along this code for Mr. Sun's Hatbox, and this is a roguelike mission based like combat stealth platformer.
He's just making up words at this point, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, with like base building elements to it. With like it has so many different systems. Like the whole story setup of the game, it has a very goofy story setup where the main character is this little like guy named Mr. Sun, and he gets a delivery from Amazon, you know, Amazon. And they botch the delivery because the Mr. Moon steals his hat box. He steals the box that his hat that he delivered is in.
Mr. Moon!
Going above and beyond to retrieve the hat, the Amazon employees are like, oh my god, we're so sorry, we will get your hat back, I promise. In fact, we're going to establish an entire base underneath your house, and we are going to work tirelessly to get your hat back. And so you end up like
That's
recruiting.
amazing.
Yeah, you end up recruiting like this army of employees to go out on missions in a desperate quest to get Mr. Sun's hat box back. And the way this works is you have like a mission screen where you go out and they're procedurally generated. For every like in-game day, there are 3 missions that you can choose from. And you pop in there, and there will be a couple of different rewards and things, and you'll see the sort of biome that it takes place in. And you go in there, and like your main sort of verb is to like take out enemies or not. Like you can jump on their heads like Mario and knock them out. They're usually wearing like a hat that has like a special bonus on it. But the Metal Gear Solid 5 comparison comes in because you can Fulton the enemies away and recruit them into your army. So when you knock them out, you can attach a balloon to them and just they go off, and then you can like brainwash them and bring them into your army. And it's got a little Rogue Legacy 2 in it as well, because each person that you recruit has a bevy of little quirks that can be positive or negative, and the more you take them out on missions and level them up, you can remove some of the negative quirks and gain new positive quirks.
Cult of the Sun.
In addition to that, you begin having all this base building stuff, and higher level recruits can be assigned to different areas of the base, a la Fallout Shelter. And the higher level recruits operating those base elements, the more access you have to permanent passive effects. Like now I can have more balloons, now research items will be highlighted or whatever. In addition to that, there are daily missions that refresh every day of items to collect in the stages. So it'll be like, hey, like this type of like special hat, I want you to go in there and deliver me 3 of them, like by the end of the day, and you can get money or some kind of special perk or whatever. And that stuff refreshes every day. There are story-based missions that appear, and when you take them on, you get a piece of a map to a hat heist. And the hat heists unlock a whole other bevy of upgrades and base building aspects and stuff. Like, it is this deceptively deep game that was developed by a solo dev named Kenny Sun. So Mr. Sun made the game, which is also very good. And he's been working on it for like 5 years or something like that. And it's clear to see why. There's so much going on. I love it. Like, I love this game.
I would love to see the hat he ordered IRL to inspire this game.
Like, I really want to get him on the show because I have so many questions, but like just the design of it, like,
Kenny, what?
Yeah.
What is this?
I just love everything this game does, like from a design perspective. Like, it is just so fun, has so many like different moving parts. And again, this is all very hard to describe and illustrate, so I will point everybody to the YouTube channel where I do have a video of that. This is also like going to be such a great streaming game. I can't wait to stream this game. Like, I love it. Like it is genuinely on my short list of like favorite games I've played so far this year. Like it is so good. So anyway, if any of that sounds good, if this weird amalgam of like Spelunky, Rogue Legacy, Metal Gear Solid 5 with like the art and vibes of something like an Adventure Time kind of sounds good to you, then check out Mr. Sun's Hatbox. It is genuinely so good. You're going to hear me screaming about this game intermittently all year. Like when Golden Aces time comes around, you'll hear about Mr. Sun's Hatbox. Mark my words. Woof. Okay. But that is it for me. I think we should probably get into the news. What do you say?
We should, and I'm typically the one that takes us into the news, but this week I think I'm going to need a little help.
Oh, snap. Got the Bard plushie there.
I got my Bard plushie from Makeship this weekend, and I absolutely adorbs it. It is so nice. Wander Song is one of my favorite indie games on the Nintendo Switch. Makeship recently did a run of these things. This thing's incredibly well made. It's so floofy. I love it. But me and the Bard are going to take us into the news. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about it.
Hey, listen!
Okay, Eric. There's a lot to get into.
Yes, there is. First and foremost, absolutely the biggest news story of this past week. Sometime Thursday, Nintendo of New York said that their entire second floor was cordoned off for a private event. We need to know what that private event was. It's a conspiracy. There's something going on. This is a massive news story that nobody's covering. I don't know what's going on. Seth?
Yeah. Who knows? The world may never know. I
may
wonder why
never
nobody's covering this. But no, seriously though, there are a couple of interesting stories to get to this week.
Absolutely.
Some official stuff to get to this week. So official, Nintendo has announced they're returning to Gamescom this year after a 4-year absence. Gamescom 2023 is happening from August 22nd till 27th. We assume there's going to be a Jeff Keighley-led opening night live event. And yeah, Nintendo is returning to the show. This is one of the biggest conferences of the year. There's a lot of speculation already that like, oh, does this mean that they're going to announce the Switch Pro there or whatever? So I don't know. We'll see. But Nintendo's going to be there.
Well, I think the fact that they're going to be there, the fact they've announced their participation in this event, I do think this is going to be the September Direct, quote unquote. And this is presumably going to be just a couple weeks away from Nintendo Live. So, this would be the perfect time. It is the perfect platform because, as much as we like to, bemoan Jeff Keighley's constant throwing of shade at other shows, he's gained a ridiculously large audience with the Game Awards and Summer Games Fest and Gamescom and stuff like this. And even though Nintendo could announce a Nintendo Direct on anything and still get a ridiculously large audience, having that extra bump is something that, from a marketing standpoint, because of the size of the audience that Jeff Keighley can draw now, that extra bump cannot be discounted if you're a marketing professional.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it definitely would get more eyes on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Nintendo cares about that, if I'm being honest. What I think is more likely, personally, is, and I mean, who knows? Nintendo might very well shake up their typical kind of like announcement circuit that they do. Typically, they'll hit like some sort of February Direct, some sort of June Direct, and then some sort of September Direct. And this could well be just like, hey, we're going to hold the like September Direct like a week or two earlier. We're going to time it around Gamescom. Maybe that is what they're doing. What I think is maybe more likely is I think it might be that they hold off on a June or July news drop, and maybe they just do something here instead. And
I think the June is going to be another partner direct, and this will be another proper direct, as it were. I've thought that that's what's going to happen for a while now. But yeah, I've in my mind that just makes a ton of sense. June, another partner direct, same as we got last year. around quote unquote E3 timeframe. And then, early September, we did get that proper blowout Nintendo Direct that destroyed all of our eardrums.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna be curious to see how they leverage this stuff, because there's already a lot of talk about like, oh, Nintendo's not gonna have any news to share, after Tears of the Kingdom and stuff. So we'll see.
Have you ever seen Nintendo?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, it wasn't. Don't get too cocky. It wasn't that long ago we had the Wii U, dude. Look, people haven't forgotten about that. So Nintendo is at their worst when they're complacent. I'm not saying they are right now, but there is certainly a fear that Nintendo is just sort of coasting. And I don't think those fears are unfounded. After the Wii U era, that is what Nintendo did. In the Wii U era, they had a wildly successful era with the Wii. They coasted, and we got the Wii U. Where they tried things, but they ultimately were very cocky, and they said, cool, we're just going to slap a U at the end of this and print money, and that isn't what happened. So there is some sort of fear that they might do the same thing with the Switch. So who knows? I obviously remain optimistic. We're in an incredible era as Nintendo fans, but at the same time, we shouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt, So
no, but by that stretch, I don't think we should. I'm not willing to, sound the alarm yet either.
No, me either. But just temper. I think that everybody would do well. We have lived in such an amazing, like, miraculous era as Nintendo fans these past 6 years that I think that, like, at a certain point, we do as Nintendo fans. You think
we're just due a bad year?
We have to just temper our expectations. It's not, this gravy train is gonna stop eventually, dude. You know what I mean? Like, we have to just, like, we can't come into every year. I'm already seeing people being like, there's gonna clearly a new Mario, a new Metroid Prime 4, and I'm just like, you just have to keep your expectations in check with this stuff. Be excited. Like, I'm excited. I love this era of Nintendo. It's great to be excited. But be excited cautiously, that rug can be pulled out at any minute, so
I don't know. Well, we'll see. We only have, I only say only, but we've got 4 months to wait.
Yeah. Less than that.
Maybe, you know what? Maybe they'll announce Call of Duty there.
segue into this is really a barely Nintendo related story, but I wanted to hit it because I'm sure people are gonna be curious about it. So this is in reference to the CMA announcing this week that it has chosen, for the time being at least, to block the Microsoft Activision merger.
Yep.
They issued a 418-page report that elaborates on the entire decision, and their big kind of like sticking point was, they're positioning that the merger was going to negatively impact the future of cloud gaming. That was like their big sort of sticking point. That was what they were trying to postulate. And in the report, Nintendo's deal with Microsoft and Call of Duty was referenced. The report says, quote, Nintendo does not currently offer Call of Duty, and we have seen no evidence to suggest that its consoles would be technically capable of running a version of Call of Duty that is similar to those in Xbox and PlayStation in terms of quality of gameplay and content, end quote. And now Bobby Kotick issued an email to Activision and the employees saying, like, hey, we're going to appeal this. So who knows how long this thing is going to get dragged out. And it's also worth noting, too, that the CMA did request Nintendo sort of testify and prove how Call of Duty would run on their system, and say, and Nintendo disputed that, saying like, well, we don't want to reveal our future plans to you just so that we can prove that Call of Duty can run on this thing. So that's also a little bit of a part of it, too, I think. But yeah.
CMA slyly trying to get a scoop on Nintendo's plans for the rest of 2023. That's what all of this is really about. But I mean, when it comes to a merger of this size, when it comes to the acquisition, this is honestly just another roadblock in the way. We've talked in loose terms about, just offhandedly about some of the other roadblocks they've come across. And it wouldn't surprise me if even after they get past this, because honestly, I don't really have, I'm fairly confident they are going to get past this. It wouldn't surprise me at all if there's even another one or another couple after this. This is essentially just just getting through all the different world organizations dealing with, like, basically we have our Federal Trade Commission in the United States, but we're not the only country that has organizations like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if another country popped up and said, well, hey, what about this? And Microsoft has to maybe fix some of the language as part of the merger or the deal so that everybody's happy and has a nice little warm and fuzzy feeling about the whole thing. That's honestly what I think it's going to boil down to. I honestly don't see this stopping the deal, but I do think it's hilarious that they singled out Nintendo and specifically the Nintendo Switch's potential for running Call of Duty as even worth singling out to halt this deal. That's bizarre to me.
Yeah, I mean, it should be said, this is like a paragraph in a 418 page
but
document.
This is not this trip for people. But you do something like this and you say, fine, you know what? Try it and see how awesome it is. This is why we endorse demos so much. This is such a great, this is going to sell so many copies of Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah, I hope so. This will be awesome. Play the full game. All the game and related DLC is going to be marked off 50% through the 14th of May. So easy recommend. Easy recommend. Absolutely.
Awesome. Super. The hype train is going. You got the Splatfest voting this weekend for the Triforce Splatfest. You and I think already picked our teams. You've got obviously the 3 teams, Power, Wisdom, and Courage of the Triforce going on in Splatoon 3 right now. I'm probably going to have to I haven't been able to jump into the past, I think 2 Splatfests, but for this one, I mean, it's Zelda, it's the Triforce I've got to represent.
Yeah. I'm still not 100%. I don't know exactly what I'm going with yet. It's going to depend on, I think, who my wife is going with.
It's hard. Yeah.
But let's hit these notable releases, man, before we wrap up.
Yeah, it's not like we don't have enough to play already. But first and foremost, when it comes to notable releases, I mean, the saga is complete, Seth.
It is. Future Redeemed, it's here, and we have no time to play it, but it is here.
We have no time. God, I want to play it so much. Obviously, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was our Golden Ace Game of the Year winner last year, and the big story content that we've been waiting on forever just dropped this past week, Future Redeemed, which we've been seeing in trailers. You got Rex and Shulk and all this media that we've been seeing over the past couple weeks. It's here, and it's going to be amazing, and it's probably going to be our Golden Ace winner for Best DLC Expansion at the end of the year. But yeah, if you have Xenoblade 3, absolutely go play it.
I mean, yeah, it's going to be a must play. I can't wait to finally get around to it whenever that happens. I want to hit this game, Smile for Me, which we saw during I think this was Inside the House of Indies last year, which finally came out. Looks weird. Looks like a weird kind of like first person, like psychedelic kind of thing. I'm interested in it, but who knows when I'll find time to play it.
I don't know. Well, a game that I've had my eye on for quite some time, Strayed Lights. Mm-hmm. This combat-centric kind of polarity shifting game kind of reminds me of that Outland game that we were talking about from the Xbox 360, Ikaruga. Basically, you can change your polarity from like red to blue to match your enemies. To defend against it. It kind of like a magnet almost. But I'm explaining it terribly. But it released this past week. Check it out. It looks absolutely rad. I hope I have some time to play it because I've been looking forward to this one for quite some time.
Yeah, it's got good reviews too. So that one looks cool. After Image, which is a new like Metroidvania with a really breathtaking art style. Adam in the Discord.
It's so pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, he picked it up and he's been sharing a lot of pictures from it. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, he's been quite taken with it, and I can see he's been dropping pictures in the Discord, like humble brag.
Stop showing off your free time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Need IRL DLC, like you were talking about. Trinity Trigger. I've heard some stuff about this. I'm not super familiar.
It's a JRPG. This is another one that I mostly know of because of Adam. who who picked up. He got like the
Our friend
collector's
Octorok.
edition. Yeah. He picked up like the collector's edition of it or something. I don't actually know. I don't even think it was the collector's edition. I think it's just like the standard physical has
Okay.
like an art book and stuff like that. Like he kind of posted like, you know, everybody else take note sort of deal. So yeah, it looks
Nice.
cool. Yeah, looks cool. Not enough JRPGs to play, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Desta, The Memories Between also came out this week. Go
Mhm.
ahead and check that out. Ironically, this past weekend, or this past Wednesday, I believe, was Alien Day, specifically because of the Aliens franchise. You know, Ellen Ripley, the Xenomorphs, that whole thing. So, in addition to LRG announcing a physical run for Alien Isolation Complete Edition, which I will absolutely be picking up, they also released Aliens Fireteam Elite this past Wednesday on the Nintendo Switch. And I actually played the demo for this. And that really turned me off at the game very quickly. Not because necessarily it controlled terribly, but within the 3 seconds that I had